Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre and everybody else in the Biden administration, including Jennifer Granholm, the energy secretary who knows nothing about energy, they're all lying about oil. And they're lying about the oil companies. And I'm not really sure why they get away with it, but I'm not going to let them off the hook. Biden walked out today because he's about to release even more of the strategic oil reserves that are saved for strategy in case, God forbid, somebody were dumb enough to try to attack the United States mainland. When he was president, Donald Trump filled it up to the highest capacity we've seen in, I think, 40 or 50 years. It was decades. The highest level yet. And in fact, while he was president, he wanted to get even more money to make sure we topped it off. And the Democrats blocked the Republicans from being able to do it. So now Biden walks out today and he wants us to think that he's fixing it through some sort of strategic release of the oil, and the oil company should do better. And this all gets very weird because I know that you know that I know that you know, whether you're left or right, that Biden, what he says here is just not true.
We're calling it a ready and release plan. This allows us to move quickly to prevent oil price spikes and respond to international events.
Okay, again, some sort of a release plan, and the release is of the strategic oil reserves that Americans don't want. We don't want you releasing our strategic reserves. Let us go and get more oil. Now he's really going to start lying.
Secondly, we need to responsibly increase American oil production without delaying or deferring our transition to clean energy.
Okay, so he wants to increase American oil production without delaying or deferring our move to clean energy. He means green energy. And again, how do you do that when Biden is the one that put the stop to drilling on federal lands, when he's the one that put a stop to the Keystone XL pipeline? And he's going to continue to lie.
Let's debunk some myths here.
So if he's going to debunk the myths, that means that he's actually going to lie now.
My administration has not stopped or slowed U.S. oil production.
Untrue. They stopped the allowance of drilling on public lands, on federal lands that are basically owned by us, but the federal government has control of them. They stopped that.
Quite the opposite. We're producing 12 million barrels of oil per day. And by the end of this year, we will be producing 1 million barrels a day, more than the day in which I took office.
Okay, that's not true. It's 11.8 million barrels a day that we're doing right now. When Trump left office, it was 13 million a day. There is nothing that Biden has done to increase production of American oil to 13 million plus barrels a day through his moves or legislation. What he just said is factually untrue. He will not be producing 1 million more barrels a day than when he took over. It's not true.
In fact,
He says something about it. We're on course to do something else. It's just a lie. So I decided that I would get a hold of Dan Brouillette. Dan Brouillette is a former energy secretary under Donald Trump. Dan, talk to a brother. Here's what Biden's saying. Is it true? Sent me a big long text back. And again, these are numbers that he's getting from our own energy department, so what Biden's saying doesn't make any sense. Dan Brouillette says their own report at the energy department says that they're doing less than 12 million barrels a day, 11.8, largely as a result of shutting production on federal land. It cannot physically reach 13 by the end of year. Without those federal leases, it was 13 million a day in 2019 with them. The federal leases weren't renewed. I don't understand. They stopped production on federal land that was leased to the oil companies. And again, I'm giving you the source, the former energy secretary under Trump. He says they're trying to conflate production numbers with the amount of oil available in the marketplace by attempting to include the 1 million barrels per day released from the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, 11.8 plus 1 from the SPR, almost 13 million a day. So instead of producing 13 million barrels a day like Biden just lied that he was going to do, going to take the 11.8 and release another million a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and call it 13 million a day produced. It's not. It's just ridiculous. He said it'll be a challenge for them. Released oil and produced oil are two different animals, and the market knows the difference. That's why there's never been a long-term drop in either crude or refined product price as a result of an SPR release. And now that they've made the SPR smaller, taking away any spare cushion, and therefore making even every drop from real producers even more valuable, and announced the de facto price floor of $70, the price at which you'll be able to repurchase oil for SPR and therefore artificially stimulate market demand, they've guaranteed crude prices stay higher than they would otherwise. From Dan Brouillette, the former energy secretary, he could not come on today, but he gave me, and this is a quote from him. So Biden's lying. They're not doing 12 million a day, doing 11.8. He's lying. They're not going to get to 13 million a day by the end of the year, unless they include a million a day that they're releasing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve that was not to be released. It doesn't make any sense other than there are people on his side that will believe it. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked by Peter Doocy, who's the only person who seems to be doing a job in the White House press corps. The press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, was asked by Peter Doocy about why should Americans believe Biden after we know what he said about oil.
In 2020, when Congress was debating funding for replenishing the SPR at a low price, Democrats blocked it, saying that it was a bailout for big oil. But
clearly not Peter Doocy. Somebody else asking about when Trump tried to get the SPR money available, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve money available, when crude oil prices were very low. You could have replenished at a very low price, and Democrats blocked it. She's being asked why they did that.
President Biden said today that would be a good
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about when Donald Trump was trying to sell it at $20 per barrel.
Not sell, buy.
Yeah, to buy it. Look, it was a different time then. It was not the same situation that we are currently in. The reserve was close to full capacity at that time, and so there was no reason to make that type of repurchase.
What is she talking about? It was close to full capacity, but clearly wasn't full because he wanted to fill it. And you're taking from it. Yeah, it's a different time. He wanted to fill it at the lowest possible price. You want to deplete it when the price is very high. How do you refill it then? How do you do that? And then she is asked by Doocy about why should Americans believe this administration when Biden said he wanted to put them out of business?
Hey, Karine. So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
Well, they produce fossil fuels, and this president says he wants to end fossil fuel.
So look, you kind of asked me this question yesterday, and here's where we would say U.S.
She's going through pages trying to find an answer because what he said is verifiably true. In fact, here's the question again. There'll be a little bit of music behind it. I think there's the Republican Party or somebody put this together. Here's the question with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's answers on the campaign trail.
Asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping the pipeline infrastructure and
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
No more, no new fracking.
That's it. No new fracking, no big oil, going to stop drilling on federal lands. Well, guess what? He's a man of his word. He did that. He's got Karine Jean-Pierre out there lying. Oh, it's a different time. Oh, he isn't doing that. Oh, we should transition while we're still producing more oil. None of what they said today is true. Now, they came out today to say it because they know that it looks like a shellacking is coming in the midterm elections. They said it because they think that you'll believe it. And sadly, a percentage of those watching and listening to me right now don't believe me and believe them, even though I just showed you the proof that they're lying. It doesn't make any sense. The gas and oil prices are not a priority. Inflation is not a priority. Your economy is not a priority. Nancy Pelosi yesterday said, that doesn't mean anything. What does that matter? These people are elite controllers, and they'll say and do anything to keep office. Don't fall for it. Don't even try to fall for it. What they said today, from Biden to Jean-Pierre to anybody else in the room, were all lies about oil production. He said it on the campaign trail, I'm going to end federal land drilling. Guess what he did when he took office? He ended federal land drilling, and that stopped our ability to produce our own oil given by God. And he also stopped the Keystone XL pipeline day one, which stopped us from getting friendly oil from Canada. Now you tell me that why you would believe him today.